Well, everybody, welcome into the Monday edition of the Phillip Jordan podcast. Of course, that means I am joined by Brandon Eisenman. Mondays with BE. We're recording this on Sunday night, though, so to let you guys know that. And of course, I am the Auburn writer for Last Word on College Football. You can check it out over 969 The Legend, where I'm the Dustin Wolves in studio host and producer on during high school football season and the Wiregrass High School Football Report. This guy over here, you got to get used to these cameras. It's reversed. It's reversed. This guy over here on the other side, that's Brandon Eisman. He writes about LSU for Last Word on College Football. He, I guess, has a podcast. We haven't seen any hint of it lately, but he does do that sometimes. And of course, he's here every Monday. So, Brandon, it's good to start another week with you, my friend.
Yeah, real good, man. I'm excited for this. You brought up the LSU Breakdown podcast. Um, the the term or the phrase I like to use for it now is kind of once in a blue moon. It happens, every now and then. I got to get back on that, man. I really do. I've thought about it a lot, and especially with it being the off season, there's a lot, that I could go on there and discuss, and I just got to find the time to get back on and do it. It's coming soon, though. Don't worry.
Be careful there, man. Do not tease me with a good time. Do not do that.
It's coming.
Before we jump in all that, of course, the normal. You guys can find this podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. If you're on Apple Podcast, please follow, rate, and review. Leave a review. I will read it on a future edition of the show. You can check us out on YouTube as well, the Phillip Jordan Sports YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for all the notifications whenever a new video is up. You will be able to check it out. We're up to 24 subscribers on the YouTube channel. I've noticed a few more adding there. Hopefully, we keep doing these YouTube videos, can get more subscribers over on there. And what we're doing here today, I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is off season, and yes, we just got this going last week. We have not prepped really for anything tonight or whenever you listen to this. We are winging it on this edition, and I think it could be entertaining. I don't know if it'll be good content, but I know it could be entertaining content doing it this way. And kind of to start off, and I got to thinking about this before we got together. We got connected here on StreamYard because I guess assume after thousands and thousands of podcasts I have started and done over the years that people would already know our stories, where we come from, what we got going on. For the first few minutes, we will talk about that, some interesting stuff, just with writing and radio, podcast, stuff like that. Then we'll jump into what will be today's topic here on the podcast. I did on Facebook and Twitter, I posted, ask me anything, a topic, anything like that. Picked one of those. That will be our leading topic here on this podcast. We'll keep it college football heavy, but we'll probably some pro and some other interesting stuff there. But Brandon, how did you get started with Last Word on College Football?
Yeah, so it was actually my senior year of high school back in 2013. I kind of knew that I wanted to write just kind of on the side, as something extra to do. Like I've always been a big LSU guy. I've been, college football guy, and I got into writing. Like one of my English teachers, my junior and senior year, kind of led me to it in a way. She said I had really good writing form and stuff, so I got on with them. Started writing about LSU. Been doing it for 9 years, give or take. I left for a little bit to go over to LSU Tigers Wire 2 years ago. But then I decided that Last Word was kind of writing home for me, if you will, and been back over there ever since. And man, I love writing for Last Word. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I'm going into my first season was 2018, so now going in 4 years now. Writing for themselves. And then, of course, I kind of where our connection, where we became friends, was when you went into podcasting. Because I remember you hit me up and, how do you do it? And then, boom, I know it wasn't LSU Breakdown wasn't your first podcast, but that's the one you really got going, after you, I think you kind of, as we all do doing this, you have to figure out what you want to do. So then LSU Breakdown was birthed.
Yeah. I think I started that in – oh man, I'd have to go back and look. I don't know off the top of my head, maybe 2017 or 2018. And I did good for a little bit, and then I kind of just fell off, and I've been there ever since. Some of it's like lack of motivation. Some of it's, just don't really have the time. But like I said a few minutes ago, it's coming again soon. So be on the lookout.
Yeah, when you're trying to do one by yourself too, it's a little bit different. I mean, but I had to do that on my first one. when I first started podcasting, doing sports talk with Phillip Jordan, which this is what this shirt is from. I'm surprised it still fits me. I'm a little bit heftier than I was back in 2015, 2016 when I was doing sports talk with Phillip Jordan. But I decided to bring the shirt out of retirement. But I was doing solo pods there, and that's hard to do. I'm very fortunate and happy and appreciative of the people who will come on the podcast as guests. Pretty big name people, I say. For me, I did some work with Dustin Eagle back 2010, 2011 or so. And then eventually I said, I want to get back into this. And I always thought the Southern accent of mine would hold me back. I always thought, okay, this is not going to work for me. But actually, I started listening to Marty McGee, and Brandon does have a guest on his
Yeah.
side of the microphone, on his side of the glass, as we sometimes can say in this business. But I heard Marty McGee. I'm like, look, those guys are like me. They're Southerners. They've got that Southern accent. That makes them stand out almost. So I did that, and then not with ESPN Dothan, I was doing a sideline review for for everybody wants to know about that whole story, and then they just it's simple, it's no secret. They just decided they did not want to do sports anymore. So for a year there, I was not on a radio station, still podcasting. Then I jumped on with last one college football. Then I got the opportunity with radio people doing Dothan Wolves football. So I've done stuff for Wiregrass local here, some other opportunities as well. But yeah, I mean, it's been last word since 2018. I've been podcasting, doing this since 2015, 16. So before we jump into the actual topic here, and we thought we weren't going to be able to fill 30 minutes. We're already at over 6 minutes on this deal. And we keep this pod at 30 minutes. Who are some people you like listening to, or even writers?
Listening to wise, does it have to be like college football, or can it just be
anybody? I mean, mine's going to be a completely national guy. I mean, you know him as long as you know who mine is going to be.
Yeah. So this isn't college football. This is kind of off the rails here. Since I've gotten into the UFC early in 2021, I've really started listening to Ariel Helwani with the MMA Hour. Great podcast, especially if you're an MMA fan. It's twice a week. It's really good. But college football wise, Ryan Russillo's good. I mean, obviously there's Phillip Jordan. I mean, what can I say about that? And then, man, I don't know. I used to listen to Locked On a lot, but I don't really listen to them much anymore. But yeah, probably Helwani and Russillo would probably be my top two, and Phillip Jordan, obviously.
Yeah, bonus points there. I mean, you're already on the show once a week, Brandon. You do not have to. You don't have to butter me up even more. But obviously, people who know me know how big of a fan of Ryan Russillo I am. I mean, he's my favorite guy. It's my go-to. Is who I listen to all the time. I was listening to him, SVP and Russillo. It was my favorite show. Still mad to say they split up, but hey, they both have podcasts. I was at one time a big Paul Feinbaum guy. I mean, I remember when he was here in Dothan. I don't have that picture on his computer, but I would flash up on the screen if I did. He came to Dothan book signing for My Conference is Better Than Your Conference. And a really cool guy, but I don't know, just the way that show is and the callers and just, I don't know, it kind of becomes a soap opera sometimes. I just had to leave it. But yeah, Russillo's big. Dan Patrick, I'm a big fan of him. He's honestly, I try to model his interview style, but I mean, obviously, not as good as Dan Patrick. I mean, that's hard to do. Ross Tucker, that's another guy I've been listening to for over 10 plus years when he was at ESPN. So that's kind of guys I like. Writing wise, I'm a big Bill Barnwell guy. Friend of the show, Bill Bender, always college football stuff. Always enjoy him. Andy Staples. The college football guys at the Athletic are awesome. So those are just kind of some people I enjoy listening. Hey, and while we're on topic, if you're watching or listening to this, who are some guys you enjoy listening to or talking to? Maybe we could talk about that on a future edition of the podcast as well. Now we're going to actually jump into the sports conversation here. I know that you all are like, okay, guys, what are we doing here? But just casual. We're in all-season football. NBA finals going on. I don't watch baseball, so that that's another thing I know that Brandon holds against me. He's got his Atlanta Braves. Of course, I'm repping the Columbus Lions of the National Arena League once again this week here on the show. So I said off the top that I got asked some, or I put on Facebook and Twitter, ask me anything questions, and I'll talk about these questions on future edition of the show. So I figured this would be a good one to do. And here it is. Josh Boutwell, longtime guest over on the Wiregrass High School Football Report, but he had this. He posted on there. Of course, he's over at the Troy Messenger. Storylines you're interested in going into next football season. Also, what's your favorite music? So, football wise, I think starting with college for me, it's like who's number 4? I've gone into this, and I talked with Lynn Scarborough on Thursday's podcast. It's Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia for me. It's those 3 at the top. I do not see anyone else at those 3 teams level. I think there's a big drop off. I know in Lindy's magazine they've got Clemson at 4. I've seen other ones, have A&M. I mean, I don't think A&M's up there. I know how Brandon feels about Texas A&M. He's not a big fan of them. I know that was you. I'm having a hard time going here. Who's going to be that other team? And look, these 3, one of them may stumble. I don't think they will. I think Georgia goes undefeated and plays Alabama in its championship game. I think Alabama potentially goes undefeated. They're going to play each other, and the loser probably gets into the playoff. I think Ohio State is in a class all by themselves in the Big Ten. I mean, I don't think Michigan is going to rise up and do what they did again. That's just talent level is not there. I think Ohio State will get revenge. I don't know who's 4. Is it Oklahoma, Baylor, or Oklahoma State out of the Big 12? I don't see one in the Pac-12. Utah maybe. Slow down, Lincoln Riley enthusiasts, especially you, Colin Cowherd. They're not winning the Pac-12 in their first year. ACC, Clemson, maybe. I just don't think they have the offense to hang with those other teams. So that's kind of a lot for me going to the college football season. That's a big storyline for me because I just don't know who's number 4. What's one for you?
Yeah, Phillip, I'm kind of on that same line there with you as who's number 4. Like you said a minute ago, I'm not a big believer in Texas A&M. I don't know if Bama and Georgia both go undefeated, but I'm tired of seeing the same 2 teams in the SEC championship. Like, please give me somebody else. Probably won't happen. It'll probably be Bama and Georgia. Who knows? But then obviously, like you said, Ohio State's there, probably sitting alone in the Big Ten. And then that 4th team, it could be Clemson, could be Texas A&M, if they prove everybody wrong. It could be Oklahoma State, Baylor. So I think that's one of the biggest questions. But you brought up Lincoln Riley and USC, and I was going to bring this up too. I don't think they'll win the Pac-12 or go undefeated or anything close to that. But I think one of the biggest storylines out that way out west is can SC, compete with Oregon, with Utah, with, whoever else may be up there at the top of the conference. And sure, it's going to be Lincoln Riley's first year. You're not expecting them to go undefeated. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think they'll do it. And everybody that thinks that, Lincoln Riley's going to lead them, in the right direction the first year is probably wrong. But I'm interested to see how Southern Cal does this year. I really am.
When you look at all the transfer portal players he's brought in, and which he's dipped his toe big time, so is a lot of coaches. Lane Kiffin's been one. LSU's done the same thing. They had to out of necessity to fill some holes on the team. Brian Kelly had to go into transfer portal, but you don't really see Lincoln Riley getting transfer players that are playing on the offensive or defensive line. And what was Oklahoma's problem when they played an SEC team? They got physically dominated on the line of scrimmage, on the offense and defense side of the ball. Now, I do think Brent Venables is going to change that. Defensive guy coming in, he's going to go out and get those guys up front, especially on the defense side of the ball, that can compete with the SEC teams. And, of course, he's going to need to do that because at some point Oklahoma, Texas are going to the SEC. So that's the thing with me, USC. I want to see Lincoln Riley actually go out and recruit and bring guys in, and obviously that's on his assistants too, defensive and offensive linemen. He didn't do it at Oklahoma. He's not showing signs of it right now in the early stages there at USC. And if that trend continues, that's always going to be the problem. They may win the Pac-12, which Utah is going to be. Utah and Oregon are very physical teams. I mean, that's one thing I don't think they give enough credit for, especially the Oregon side of things. What Mario Cristobal built at Oregon with that, I think Dan Lanning will continue that. So that's me with USC. I just don't think they're going to be physical enough because Lincoln Riley has not shown that he's willing to really go after and bring in those type of players into his programs.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you. I don't think SC will be as physical as, say, Oregon or Utah this year. That's why I don't think they'll, win the Pac-12. But Phillip, you brought up LSU, and since I cover LSU, I just want to rant for 1 second. This might be off topic, but it's okay. In my honest opinion, as a person that covers LSU, that's a longtime LSU fan, I still to this day, even though it's been a few months, I still don't understand why Jaden Daniels went to Baton Rouge. LSU does not need him. You got Miles Brennan, you got Garrett Nussmeier, and you got the freshman Walker Howard. Now, sure, it gives you extra depth just in case, somebody gets hurt. And look, I think Jaden Daniels will do okay at LSU. I don't think he's going to start, but I just don't see him being the right fit in the quarterback room this year. I really don't. That's all.
Yeah, I believe Miles Brennan is going to be the quarterback for them. I do. And then, Jaden Daniels obviously wants to start. He's a good player. I do think they use him. I do think he gets on the field. Brian Kelly would be, an idiot not to use his athletic ability. Garrett Nussmeier was very impressive in LSU spring game. He honestly, in the spring game, he looked the best of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not going to hold the spring game against Jaden Daniels too much because you can't hit the quarterbacks. You touch them, they're down. A quarterback like Jaden Daniels that is known for using their athletic ability, their running ability, they can't really showcase that in a spring game because they don't let them get hit. So that hurt them there. But I believe Miles Brennan will be the quarterback, and I hope he gets a full year because the guy deserves it. I mean, he has not been able to do that. His first year, that was the pandemic season, 2020. They were not struggling early that year because of him. The first half against Mississippi State, yeah, he had some interceptions, but after that, he was putting up good numbers. Just he got hurt and the defense wasn't good. And then last year, he didn't even get to play, and that's why Max Johnson was quarterback. So that's a storyline. Miles Brennan. Let's finally see a year of him as the LSU quarterback. I think that's intriguing going into the 2022 college football season.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Especially from not only an LSU standpoint, but also an SEC standpoint, college football in general. And I don't want to, stay on this too long, but Brennan's a guy that I've been waiting for to see him, kind of explode really, in a way, or shine, or whatever you want to say. I've been waiting on this kid since he was recruited and committed to LSU. And then he got hurt, in 2020, didn't play at all last year. And now, it might finally be his time. But Phillip, I don't want to take over your show here, but I have another storyline in mind if you're ready for it.
Go for it. So
with the transfer portal, with NIL and everything, and I think this will really be a big storyline, going into the season, maybe through the whole season, is how many players, and you don't have to give me a number, but how many players are we going to see, enter the transfer portal, say end of season, because strictly because of NIL deals? I mean, it's coming to that at some point.
Well, let's take a look at it from a quarterback standpoint. We have all these quarterback competitions we're talking about. You've got a Jaden Daniels. Okay, you just mentioned him. Miles Brennan. I'm just using that. That's the competition. There's one going on at Auburn. All over the place. There's quarterback competitions all over the place. And I use those two because, obviously I cover Auburn. You're going to see quarterbacks enter. And I wonder, will they enter? When are we going to start seeing a lot of these players enter the portal in season? That's going to be interesting. Now, obviously, they probably wouldn't sign with another team until after. But we have seen players announce they're leaving during the season. So I think that's interesting. And then you're going to see it during fall camp. If you think you can't start, you want to get out. And then maybe if there's an incoming freshman and then you're, a guy that's an established player, maybe you say, hey, I deserve more NIL money than him. I've been doing it. Like I've been saying for a while now, the players that have been playing, they're going to start complaining. So transfer portal, wow, the NIL and transfer portal conversation will die down once we start actually having games to talk about. That, it will go away for a bit, but it's always going to be part of the conversation until they just figure out a way to legislate this and make some rules on it. And then, but until then, it's always going to be a topic of discussion.
Yeah, certainly. I think I said this on last week's episode, correct me if I'm wrong here, but in my mind, especially for recruiting purposes, these high school kids that are getting recruited, your 3, 4, 5-star guys, they may not necessarily go to, respective school A or respective school B for, the education or the coaching staff. They're going for the NIL money now. That's exactly what they're going for. And if they see that they can get it, get more NIL deals, more money elsewhere at a different school, they're going to leave. That's what it's going to come to.
Yeah, it is. It's just, like I said, repeat myself here, but it's going to be obviously a topic of discussion going forward. Now, I was asked in that question by Josh, not just to college, but what storyline going into the NFL season? Mine is how many good teams in the AFC aren't making the playoffs. Now, I've already said this, maybe on this show, maybe on others, but I have said I've already given my Super Bowl prediction. Not who's going to win it, but who I think is going to be in the game. I believe it will be the Buffalo Bills versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. I think this will be Josh Allen's year. Really, what cemented that for me, too, is when the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill. I mean, I still think the Chiefs will be really good, but that's a big part of their offense. And I know they did some stuff in the draft to kind of replace them, but you can't replace Tyreek Hill unless I see it on the field. The Bengals may fall to the bottom or third last in the AFC North. I mean, that just shows how loaded it is because with the Browns, which who knows what's going to happen to Sean Watson. My thing is, if Calvin Ridley, if you acted so quickly to Calvin Ridley betting on games, that's not right. He shouldn't be doing it. He's suspended for a year. Why hasn't Deshaun Watson been, why hasn't the NFL done anything with that? 24. We've had more accusations come against him. And now it's saying there was a report last week that the Houston Texans were helping him get massages. I'm just saying, I don't know. We need something to be done here. But anyways, the AFC is going to be wild. The Colts with Matt Ryan at quarterback. The West will be loaded with the Raiders. Already said the Chiefs. The Chargers are really good. That's just the Broncos are Russell Wilson. And then the NFC is not as loaded. I put obviously with the Packers, I think it's them and the Buccaneers and the Rams. The Rams pretty much they're spending all kind of money. Apparently, there's not salary cap in the NFL anymore. The Rams are the Yankees now. They're bringing everybody back. The band's back together. But I like Tampa Bay just because I think the Rams. I can see some of their players say, "Okay, I got my ring. I'm good." And I do think they are also disrespecting the impact that Odell Beckham Jr. had and him not being there. Allen Robinson now kind of basically taking his place. And the Packers receiver situation is not good, and the Cowboys will flame out. I don't know if the Cowboys will win the East. The Eagles may give them a run. So that's kind of me. Just kind of those are just the teams and everything I'm looking at when it comes to NFL with the big storylines I'm looking at.
Yeah, Phillip, I agree with you, especially out of the AFC. I think Buffalo is going to come out of the AFC. The NFC, I think it'll either be the Rams or the Bucks. But quickly going back to the AFC, especially the AFC South, you brought up the Colts with Matt Ryan. Everybody knows I'm a Jaguars fan. I'm not buying that. Okay. I'm not saying Jacksonville's going to win the South. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that'll happen. But I just don't think the Colts are going to do it with Matt Ryan. And honestly, I'm not a big believer in the Titans either. So if I had to go with somebody, I'm going to be biased. Take Jacksonville, obviously. But, I mean, I'm not a big believer.
Did you just do what I think you just did?
I did. And that's not a biased pick, but you look at the talent Jacksonville has, what they brought in. New coaching staff with Doug Peterson after last year's, abysmal run with Urban Meyer. I think Jacksonville is about to start competing in the South. I really do.
I took my my headset off because I just couldn't believe what I was hearing.
And look, it's nothing against the Colts or the Titans, but we've seen the Titans, fail out in the playoffs. And the Colts, I'm just not a big believer in them. I'm really not. And the Texans, well, I mean, they're just going to finish last.
It is obvious I need to start drug testing my co-host from here on out.
No.
That's just where I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it there. That's all I'm going to say about it. I need to start drug testing people before they come on here. No, No. The Jaguars are falling. I like the Doug Peterson hire. I think he can do very positive things for Trevor Lawrence. But that team has a long way to go. And you're not a Matt Ryan guy. I'm a big Matt Ryan guy. So, I mean, there's agree and to disagree. I mean, if you just said you think the Titans are going to win the division, I'd be like, okay, I can live with that. I mean, the Texans, I mean, them and the Jaguars are bad. So, I'm just going to, hey, y'all hit Brandon up on Twitter. Don't be coming after me about the Jaguars takes. Y'all go after Brandon on that one. That one was out there. We're at 25. We're at the 25-minute mark here. Like I said, we're going to keep this pod at 30 minutes. So don't talk a lot about this sport on the pod. And Brandon has no idea I was going to bring this up. The NBA Finals. Look, I'm a basketball guy too, and I used to be a big NBA guy. I'm not as big as I don't watch the NBA as much as I used to. Got other things going on. You get older, you got to relegate time. The series is tied 2-2. Honestly, guys, I do not want to see the Celtics win. I can't stand Boston. I think it's blasphemous. Tatum wears that Kobe Bryant purple and gold band on his arm. We shouldn't have any mixing of Lakers and Celtics. That is not what we need. That is not what I want. I think the Warriors are going to win this in 7. I think they will win Game 5. Steph Curry 4 3 points after, I believe Tracy McGrady, before that game, he said Steph Curry was not in the same league as Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and the greats. And everybody always wants to trash on Steph. And let's just enjoy while we have him. I mean, he's not going to be playing at this level forever. But big game. I think Boston wins back Game 6. We'll go to Game 7. I think the Warriors win that.
No. First of all, Phillip, when you started talking and you said I didn't know it was coming, for some reason in my head I thought you were about to bring up the UFC, and I was about to be like, all right, let's talk about it because Saturday's pay-per-view fight card was amazing. But to the NBA Finals, look, I kind of like the Warriors. I'm not a big Celtics guy. I really don't have an NBA team. I kind of can't keep up, I can't stay with one. I kind of flip-flop in that league. But Boston's going to win it in 6. They're going to win the next 2, and it's over with. I told a bunch of people that they would split the first 2 in San Francisco. Then it would go back to Boston. The Celtics would go up 3-1. I was wrong. Golden State won Game 4. But Boston's going to close this thing out in 6. I know you hate to hear that because you despise the Celtics, but they're going to win it.
I just don't want to hear Bill Simmons on Twitter and all that other mess gloat and say that they got more titles than the Lakers.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that's a good note to close the podcast on. This podcast was off the rails. We came into it. I don't have a notepad. I don't have anything in front of me. We just talked ball. That's all we did here. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was good. Brandon, where can everybody find you on the interweb?
Yeah, if you want to get at me on Twitter for my blasphemous Jaguars take that I just had on this episode, you can hit me up at Eisenman. We'll talk back and forth about it. I'm always down, for some good back and forth football talk. So hit me up there at Eisenman on Twitter. You can also find me over at Last Word on College Football, where I cover LSU. And you can find me occasionally, once in a blue moon, hosting the LSU Breakdown podcast.
And of course, you can follow me on social media at PJordanSEC. The podcast is available on all your favorite podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. And also, you can check out on YouTube at the Phillip Jordan Sports YouTube channel. Just hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. You can email me at sportstalkphillipjordan@gmail.com. And, let me know what you thought about me breaking out the old Sports Talk with Phillip Jordan t-shirt back from 2016. Got a little bit fatter since back then, but it still fits me. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Have some more episodes later in the week. It's all going to be solo or no guests this week. You have no guests on the pod this week, so get used to hearing me ramble incoherently. But anyways, I hope everybody has a great early part of your week. And remember, let kindness